Hey guys, so I hope you enjoyed Sunday's video, part one of that interview that I did with my buddy Brad Pilon. Today I'm going to give you part two. It's a rapid fire question interview that I did with him. So it was just a continuation of what we talked about on Monday. We'll talk about low blood sugar, we'll talk about muscle loss, potential muscle loss, even like, that's probably a myth. We'll talk about fat loss and a bunch of other little topics that people really seem to question about intermittent fasting. So I hope you enjoy it and let me know what you think. Okay, so maybe we can go on rapid fire and I'll pepper you on some questions about, I guess, myths about fasting.
Yeah, hit me.
And see if you can give me a good answer in the least amount of time because I know you got to go.
Then I ramble. Hit
Yeah.
me. All right.
Losing muscle. You gonna lose muscle when you fast?
No, you will have issues with losing muscle if your fasts are very prolonged and you are very lean. So an exceptionally lean person may want to consider the fact that you're already there, you're already lean, you don't have to fast for extended periods of time. You could use fasting every once in a while to maintain that leanness, but you don't have to be as regimented. And if you are, for guys, it's around 6% body fat. For girls, depending on the girl, 10 to 14% in that area. There's nothing left. You don't have stores left. And what you're doing when you're fasting is attempting to use up your body stores of fat as energy. If you've got no body fat left, then it's probably not the best of ideas. So with the exception of extremely lean people overusing fasting, you're not going to be losing muscle when you fast for short periods of time.
Good answer. Okay, next question. Will your metabolism slow down?
No, the metabolism stuff is very interesting. One of the reasons I like fasting so much is you have the small pattern interrupt and a period of normal eating.
Yep.
So you can run into metabolic problems after prolonged periods of extreme dieting. Again, when you get to the point where the body fat is used up and you're literally turning to lean body mass for fuel. What happened to, we find this in guys doing like rangers or military training.
Yeah.
They get down to 5-6% body fat, but they're still asked to not sleep, exercise tremendous amounts, and barely eat, right? And being under high stress circumstances. At that point, you do tend to eat a little bit of lean muscle mass we just talked about. What people don't realize is lean muscle mass, even small amounts of that is muscle.
Yeah.
Some of it is also your organs, and what they'll do to protect themselves is slightly slow down. But we're still talking about the amount of calories daily, maybe a cup of coffee with a cream and a sugar. So it happens again in extreme cases, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it happens to everyone.
Right.
But on the flip side, because it doesn't happen to 99% of people, it doesn't mean those people in the extreme cases shouldn't be aware of it. So if you're doing military ranger training to be a Green Beret, maybe fasting for 48, 72 hours isn't the best idea. Unless they tell you to do it, then do what you're doing.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Hypoglycaemia. Will you get low blood sugar if you go on a 24-hour
Very
fast?
rarely. So people who typically associate the feeling of being lightheaded or just not right, the general go-to is my blood sugar's off, without a measure.
Right. Yeah.
Glucometers are how we measure the amount of sugar in our blood. They're relatively easy to prick like a diabetic, and it just measures the amount of glucose in your blood. What we find from research using glucometers is that even when some people who think they're having low blood sugar episodes, when we measure their blood,
Yeah.
their blood sugar is normal. It's not saying they're not having the symptoms of just not feeling right,
Yep.
but the good news is the issue isn't their blood sugar, it's something else. So again, it's not that it's all in your head. It's obviously if you're telling me you don't feel quite right, you don't feel quite right, but it's probably not the blood sugar.
Cool. Okay. Last question.
Yeah.
Training. Can you train while you're on a 24-hour fast?
You can, but the thing you have to remember is that fasting, like dieting, like training, like everything else in life is a stress.
Right.
And what you're trying to do is elicit a small stress response through the fasting. That's how you get the benefit through recovery.
Yep.
Training is the same. Training is a stress and insult on the body. I mean, if you were to look at what happens to your body right after a kettlebell session,
Yep.
if I took a microscope and looked at your muscle, it would look like a mini grenade, just blew apart your muscle, right? And I'd be like, dude, whatever you did, don't ever do that again,
Yeah.
right? I'm taking your hormone profile, your cortisol's up, your epinephrine's up, your insulin response is all wacky. I'm like, don't ever do that again. 2 days later, right, a completely different story, right?
Yeah.
Because you've had a chance to recover. I'm like, man, your muscles actually slightly bigger, you're slightly stronger, your hormone profile's beautiful. That's what happens with a good stress response. So fasting and exercise, both excellent stress responses. You can even occasionally do one right after the other, but what you have to be careful of, you can't fast for 24 hours every single day, work out for 3 hours every single day, then go for a walk and have a high stress job and not expect bad things to happen. You can easily manage both your fasting and your training, even if they occasionally overlap, as long as you're managing your total stress and just being aware of how you feel.
Right. Good. All right. All all the questions I have, and I'm glad I was able to catch Brad because he's about to leave.
Getting out of here.
So
Going to PEI, Prince Edward Island, believe it or not.
there you
Fun
go.
times.
And we're in New Brunswick right now, so he's got a bit of a drive on.
4 hours with 2 kids in the car.
Yes. All right. Well, Chris Lopez, kettlebellworkouts.com. Thank you, my friend Brad Pilon. It's good to see you.
We're going to do the awkward guy handshake.
Yeah, weird. All right. See you guys in the next video.
Guys.
Hey guys, so I hope you enjoyed that interview that I did with my buddy Brad Pilon. If you like this video and you want to see more of it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is up there, or leave a comment down below and make sure that you like this video on YouTube so that I can provide you with a little bit more information on what's going on with the intermittent fasting world and with the training world in general. All right, I'm Chris Lopez. Take care.